Thank you so much for joining us, Portland State community. My name is Kanani Protasano, and I work in the Office of Admissions here at Portland State. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm joined this morning by several colleagues of mine from across the campus who I'll have them introduce themselves in a second. We hope to provide you a lot of clarification and information this morning regarding fall term and this unique situation that we're in. And I will have an opportunity to be able to ask questions during this presentation and hopefully get you the information that you need to know. Like I said, we do have a lot of staff members from across the campus who are available this morning, and they're going to be speaking with you. If I can have all of our presenters start to bring their cameras and their mics up. While they do that, as you can see, hopefully, from the class registration list that went up Monday, which was yesterday, nearly all of our courses and sections will be taught remotely this fall. That decision is driven by health concerns over the spread of COVID-19. Still, you're able to choose the virtual class formats that best fits your schedule for your work and your family. So keep that in mind, and we'll be talking about that throughout this presentation. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Luke to start us off with some of our introductions.
Hi, my name is Luke Norman. I'm the Assistant Registrar for Registration Operations and Services. I've been working in the Registrar's office for a few years now. I'm excited to talk with you all about the course delivery methods that are going to be available for the fall term. I'll pass it on to Anna.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Anna Law. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm thrilled to represent advising and career services today, as well as the design, creativity, and performance pathway. Shoshana, take it over.
Thanks. I am Shoshana Zeisman-Perio, the Interim Director of the Learning Center, and I'll be sharing some academic resources with each of you, and my preferred pronouns are she, her, hers.
Hi folks, good morning. My name is Emma Stocker. I'm the Director of Emergency Management at Portland State. I use she, her pronouns, and I'll be going over some of the health and safety measures that we've implemented on campus for the fall that you probably have a lot of questions about. Mike?
Thanks, Emma. Hi, I'm Mike Walsh. I'm the Dean of Students, and I am very excited to be here with you all. I'll be talking about how the fall will be different than spring, and also I'll talk about student life. Turning it back over to Kanani.
All right, thanks folks. So these are the people you're going to be hearing from today. Shoshana, if you can go to the next slide. We do have the Q&A function that's available for this webinar today. Looks like some of you have already accessed that Q&A button, which is great. We want you to be able to put your questions in there and get some answers. We're not going to have everybody introduce themselves, but you can see we do have a lot of folks from the different colleges and schools who are with us this morning, as well as student services, resources, the library, who are going to be available to answer questions for you today. Yep, there we go. Again, take a look at that list and so you know what types of questions you can ask and who's in here going to be answering those questions. So lots of support to hopefully get your questions answered. And I just want to mention that while our intent is to provide information about fall term, please know that this webinar is intended for students. So I know we have some faculty and staff who are joining us this morning, which is great. But just know that if you have specific questions about what your class is going to look like, any resources that are available to faculty and staff, you're going to want to make sure to connect with your dean or department chair to get questions or to get your questions answered there. So just kind of keep that in mind. But again, we have a lot of folks who are on this back end being able to answer questions for us today. Next slide. So during this webinar this morning, we're going to be going over a lot of information, and we're going to be hopefully getting through that and allowing time at the end for some additional Q&A. Obviously, we've just done our welcome and introduction, so we're good to go there. You know who's here this morning. Next, we're going to jump into some fall term updates with Mike. After that, we will talk specifically about class scheduling and how that's going to look, the registration process, and some other things that you'll need to know for your classes. That's going to be with Luke. Emma mentioned this. We're going to be talking about health and safety precautions. So what Portland State is doing to make sure that our students are staying safe and if you're coming to campus at all. After that, we're going to go into student services. So Anna is going to be talking a little bit about that. She mentioned she's from advising as well. So we'll be talking just a little bit about that kind of information. And then we're going to pop back to Mike and hear a little bit about student life and how that's going to look during this fall term. To close it out, we're going to talk about academic resources. So the resources that are still going to be available for you during this unique fall term that we're having, and that's going to be with Shoshana. And like I said, if we do have time at the end, we will be able to take some more questions. I also want to note that if your question doesn't get answered and you're asking it with your name and your email address, then we will be able to follow up with you afterwards. So if you have a question that you really want to make sure gets answered either today via the chat or live, if we don't get to it, please make sure that we have your asking with your name so that we can follow up with you later on this week about your question. All right, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mike for some of this information about our fall term.
Great, thanks so much, Kanani. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about fall term and how it will look. There will be some significant differences in the fall term from spring quarter. One of the most, I think, important ones for our new learners coming into school will be that faculty from across the university have been training over the summer with our Office of Academic Innovation to improve remote teaching practices and update technical remote capabilities. We've learned an enormous amount through spring term and summer, and so fall term delivery remotely is going to be significantly improved. Not that it was not great already, but there's been some significant improvements. I also want to mention that some students' resources will be available on campus, and I'm actually going to talk about that a little bit more specifically when we get to student life. So I won't list them out right here, but in addition, I want to mention that a student survey did go out last week asking for your input on your experience in the spring, if you had that experience in with virtual student services and how they could be improved. For those who will be on campus, there are comprehensive health measures that will be in place, such as mask requirements, physical distancing, signage, enhanced cleaning, and other steps recommended by local and state health officials. We also will have COVID testing capability in place through the Center for Student Health and Counseling. And then also nearly 1,800 students signed up to live on campus in the fall in our residence halls. And I know that the residence hall system is planning to build a really strong community-based living environment remotely and would have protocols and safeguards that are in place. And later on in this webinar, I'll talk about more specifically about student life. But I'll turn it over now to Luke for class scheduling.
All right, thank you so much, Mike and Kanani. So there's three major things that I'd like to be able to cover with my time. The first is I'd like to discuss the delivery methods that are going to be available for fall term. The second is I'd like to show you how to search for classes based off of those delivery methods and how to view them if you've already registered. And the third is I'd like to address some of the common questions that we received over the last few months. So I'll be going into these in more detail on the next slide, but in brief, all courses have been delineated into one of 5 delivery methods, and these are indicated in the class schedule. Those delivery methods are in person, there are a limited number of those, hybrid courses, remote courses with scheduled meeting times, remote courses with no specific meeting times, and online courses. Now, a few things that I wanted to point out, things that I think might be helpful. The last day to add courses is going to be October 4th. That's Sunday after the first week of classes. Technically, you can register for classes with instructor consent through the second week of the term, but I do encourage you to register as early as possible. And the last day to drop courses for a full refund is also October 4th, the Sunday after the first week of classes. Those deadlines can also be found along with a lot of other deadlines on the academic calendar. If you're unfamiliar with how to find the academic calendar from the main PSU website, it's under the academics heading under academic resources. There are a few other things that I wanted to mention. So the fall term schedule has already been updated with all of these delivery methods. And for those of you who are continuing students, you may recall that we had an expanded use of the pass no pass policies. That is going to continue into the fall term. For those of you who may be new to PSU, I would encourage you to review some of the resources that we've put out for the fall term. I'm not sure if we're going to be posting this in the Q&A, but there is an FAQ on the website with some more detailed descriptions about that expanded use of pass, no pass. We can go to the next slide. So let's dive into the course delivery methods. In-person is something I'm sure you are all familiar with, but that is a course that is going to take place in person at standard published meeting times and locations. In-person attendance is going to be expected for those courses. A hybrid course is a course with a significant amount of the course material moved into a digital environment so that the amount of in-person time is more limited, but there will also be traditional in-person instruction. By far our most common mode of moving courses is the remote with scheduled meeting times. That is a shift of the delivery of an in-person course to a virtual format. And most commonly that's going to be a live video conference, something like Zoom. And those are going to be synchronous meetings, meaning live meetings. Those are going to have scheduled meeting times, so you should plan on being available during those scheduled meeting times. The fourth is a remote course with no specific meeting times. This is again a movement from the in-person course, but more commonly these are going to have asynchronous or pre-recorded video recordings for the lessons. There are not specific meeting times published for these courses and no specific meeting times required. And the last is a fully online course that has been intentionally designed and constructed for complete digital instruction. I'd like to go into very briefly the how you can view these course delivery methods through your student account. You will have all received an email yesterday and also on the main PSU website right now, the front page links to a more detailed version of this slide here. But briefly, when you are searching for classes, if you use the advanced search when you are looking up classes to add, one of the filters is by course delivery method, and all 5 of these course delivery methods are listed there. You can go more granular and include subject or degree requirements that are going to be met, but you can also search just by course delivery method if you want to. When you are looking at the list of courses, over on the right-hand side, you will see kind of what that looks like. If you were to click the title, the class details will pop up in a separate window. That's what you see in the lower right-hand corner. Under the class details heading in that window, you'll see the course delivery method designated. And I also encourage you to view the course description and notes. A lot of instructors are adding additional helpful information, things like for the remote with scheduled meeting times courses, they may designate that they are going to be recording those lectures as well, so you have a little bit of additional flexibility. So I highly encourage you to view that on both your current schedule or when you are looking up classes to add. And finally, I would like to go through some of the questions that we have received over the last few months. One of the most common is, what is the difference between online and remote? The main designation is that a remote course was traditionally designed as an in-person course, but has shifted to a remote delivery due to the current COVID-19 pandemic, where a course that is designated as online was intentionally designed that way from the get-go for a complete digital interaction at a distance based off of evidence-based practices for online teaching and learning. There's going to be a lot of similarities between a remote asynchronous or remote with no scheduled meeting times and the online, but again, those online were very thoughtfully developed as an online course. And the other question that we've received a lot is, if I do all remote and online classes, will I be able to avoid going to campus all term? And technically, yes. If you have registered for courses with all remote or online delivery methods. You will not need to come to campus for any instruction. All of those courses should be able to be accessed remotely. And as Mike will be going into, as well as Anna, there are going to be a lot of services that are available fully remotely as well. Kenani, were there any questions that came up?
Hey Luke, there's a lot of questions, but I think they're getting answered in the chat. One thing that I wanted to mention is those slides that Luke was going over with the screenshots. I know there was a question in our Q&A. I put the link inside of our chat in this webinar to where you can find the actual information that Luke was just going over. He mentioned that, but I wanted to reiterate that. So if you were needing to reference that again to see how your classes are going to be offered, then please check that. And Luke, can you mention that one more time? Where did you find that at?
Yeah, so that's available both on the main PSU website. If you were to go to pdx.edu, the kind of main image on the center of the page links to that page as well. And it goes into a lot more detail than I was able to cover about various ways of searching and various ways of viewing what your current schedule looks like and what course delivery methods are currently available if you've already registered for classes.
All right, perfect. Well, if you have more questions for Luke, he'll join the chat now, and so you can ask those questions in the Q&A. And with that said, we'll move on to health and safety precautions with Emma.
Hi folks, again, my name is Emma Stocker. I'm the Director of Emergency Management. Just wanted to cover a few of these items. They are also highlighted on the Fall Flex website under the student section and throughout that website. So take a look there if you haven't scanned the Fall Flex website yet. So what is it gonna look like for those of you that will be coming to campus for a class, for a service? What can you expect when you come to campus? So as we've gotten used to in many aspects of our lives, physical distancing is a must. It's required and must be followed by everyone on PSU property. So that's the 6 feet of distance. And in many places, we've been able to add signage, stickers on the floor. If you find yourself needing to go to ID services to get a new ID card, you'll see those markers on the floor trying to indicate 6 feet away from the person in front of you. And those have to be complied with. We're also modifying common spaces on campus. So there will be access to campus for students this fall. And so if you decide to come to FMH, you want a quiet place to study in one of those cubbies by yourself, the furniture will be marked or moved to indicate what 6 feet of distancing looks like. So we are modifying common spaces across campus. And for the classes, in order to de-densify our buildings, allow for some time between classes so that people aren't passing each other as often in the hall, we are able to schedule at least one empty class period between any occupancy of those rooms. And in many cases, there might be more than just the one empty class period. So there won't have been a crew of students coming out and then yourself going in. Building access, I mentioned that briefly, but everyone will need to use their ID cards to access buildings. If you're going in for services or going into a building for a class, we are required, and with so few people on campus, it's important for safety as well. So make sure you have your ID card with you to access all the PSU buildings. Face coverings are required. This was a requirement that PSU put in place, and then it was followed not long after by a statewide requirement that face coverings are required to be worn indoors at all times in common spaces, shared spaces, and that means in classrooms as well, and that's instructors and students. And it's also recommended that if you're outdoors, even if it's a breezy day, wear a mask, especially if you're not able to maintain that 6 feet of distance. So if you find yourself like this person, maybe waiting for the streetcar or walking between the library and a building on campus, please do continue to wear a mask. Around sanitation and hygiene, we've installed hundreds of new hand sanitizers around campus. Cleaning wipes will be available throughout campus as well. You'll see these things when you walk into buildings. You'll see these things when you walk into classrooms, and they're available for your use so that you feel safe about sitting down at a table for a class or sitting down at a table to study. You have those tools available to you. And we've also enhanced our custodial services throughout campus. There will be more cleaning during the day and more focus on the high touch surfaces. It's doorknobs, it's elevator buttons, and high traffic areas. So the entrances, the hallways, restrooms, things like that. We've also made some pretty significant upgrades to our HVAC systems. That's the air filtration systems. So we've increased the level of filtration to remove more particulate matter, including COVID material, COVID particulates from the air system overall. So we've put many of these precautions in place following best practice from the CDC, the American College Health Association, the Oregon Health, and we've really tried to go above and beyond and make it a comprehensive health and safety measures for campus. So that's an overview. Again, there are some more details on the website. We will be including more details as we upgrade those websites or update them in advance of fall term. So for right now, I'll just see if Kanani, there are any specific questions that have come in while I've been chatting.
Yeah, so a question from Ben. Do you plan to keep up the same sanitation process once the school reopens?
So as I described, there'll be enhanced cleaning. So that'll be more frequently during the day and focusing on those areas where many people might be passing through a lobby or using elevators and that sort of a thing. And that was something we implemented for spring term. We dialed it back a little bit with summer. And as we got through, further into spring term, just because there were no people on campus, as we've increased activity on campus with some services and operations on campus, there are more staff now on campus in the summer getting the work of the university done. That cleaning has returned, that cleaning protocol, and that will ramp up as we know specifically which rooms and which buildings will be occupied for classes, which buildings and areas will be open for services. That's where we're going to focus our cleaning, where people will be, is where we're going to focus.
Perfect, thanks. That's really helpful because the next question I was going to ask was from Travis. He was wondering, during the empty class periods, will the classrooms be sanitized? So it sounds like, yeah, that's where the focus is going to be. And so for any of those classrooms that will have people in them, there will be additional sanitation for them.
Yeah, we haven't gotten the list quite yet of exactly the rooms that will be occupied. So we're going to put that all into the plan.
Perfect. Yeah. All right.
There was a question, sorry, I see here,
a
student's ID required for all buildings. That's accurate. Any building, any PSU building, you will need an ID to enter the building. And there will be some areas that you may even need to use the ID card in the elevator. We've got buildings that have beautiful common spaces, thinking, FMH and the museum. And we want to make sure that if someone's visiting the museum, but they're just a member of the public, that they're not going to head over to a computer lab or a study area. So make sure you have a card. You can get that from ID services now. Someone will talk about services available later, and have that with you all fall term if you're coming to campus.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Emma. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of questions about student ID cards. So you just mentioned it, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. And then I'll also be putting that link to the ID services right now in the chat function as well. So with that said, thank you so much, Emma. She'll rejoin the Q&A and see what questions she can answer in there. And we'll be moving on next to student services with Anna.
Hey, everybody. Great to have you here. We're ready for the next slide. Thank you so much. This is a little bit of a busy slide, and as Kanani mentioned, all of these materials are in the chat and they're going to be posted on our website. But also remember, you have the MyPSU app that can help you navigate through services here at school. What I want to point out here in this slide is that all of the services that you've traditionally had at PSU are available to you in fall term. The difference is you won't be waiting in line. Remember all those lines before? Now we have moved to a COVID-efficient kind of format where you can engage in video appointments and chat and email and phone. So actually you have even more access, and we're really proud of that. One of the things that I've encountered with students in advising is lots of questions about financial aid. And I would really encourage you to go to the financial aid website. They've implemented a new chat function, and I understand that students are getting answers really quickly, and that seems to be the most efficient way to go. The same is true for financial wellness, just a fantastic group of people there to help you decode the complex world of paying your tuition. Luke, of course, talked about registration, and make sure that, again, you're using that PSU app to check the academic calendar. Our technology help desk, oh my goodness. I don't know about you, but I've had so many issues with Zoom or different functions, and they literally are available 7 days a week. So I hope you'll access them. Advising in Career Services is linked here under Student Support Services. We're going to continue working remotely in the fall and offering as many appointments as are humanly possible to meet your needs. We're also really proud of our counseling services that can occur remotely, but as was mentioned earlier, there are also in-person services. And here's the big question: how do I get my ID? I'm here in FMH today, and I absolutely had to use my ID to get in. They're open from 12 until 2 on a daily basis. And please do check their website and all of these websites to get up-to-date information. You may be aware that our departments, many of our departments across campus right now are furloughed. So we're working 32 hours a week, trying to squeeze in a 40-hour week and doing it pretty well. But there are changes that happen. And so we want to encourage you to check those websites, particularly if you're intending to come into campus. One of the questions that I've heard quite a bit is around work study. If I'm a student who's continuing with work study, how do I do that? What are my deadlines? Well, first off, I would recommend that you visit our counseling services. They have lists of jobs that are available across campus. Of course, with some services not happening in person, there are some that are fewer, but they'll help you find a good fit through our program called Handshake. For those of you who do need to secure work study employment, for those of you who are continuing, your deadline is November 20th at 5 o'clock. And just in case any of you are new to PSU, your deadline is December 15th. And that's going to be posted on the financial aid website, just in case you don't remember today. But it is important that you secure that employment as quickly as you can. So definitely make an appointment with a career advisor if you need that support. And just overall, I want to encourage you to access all of your resources, whether it's the website or calling our front desks, but certainly make use of that PSU app as well. And so with that, Kanani, have you got any questions for me?
Well, I think that ID services was a really big one. There's still some questions coming in about that.
Okay.
I just wanted to reiterate that you've listed the times on there, the Mondays and Fridays, or sorry, Mondays and Wednesdays from 12 to 2. And I would say if they can't make it on Mondays and Wednesdays, they should probably give ID services a call or email them.
I think that would be absolutely the best way to go.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I think that's it that we have for right now. And Anna will join that Q&A on the back end and see if there's any other questions that she can answer about student services. But like she said, those were the ones that are available, and you can also get that information on the website.
Cool. With that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Mike.
Great, thanks, Anna. Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit more about student life. Most engagement on campus will be virtual, but there will be quite a bit that is open. Excuse me. For instance, housing and residence life will be open, and housing is available for students. And students who have applied to housing can actually defer to winter term if they want. And the cancellation deadline is Monday, August 17th, coming up here. And move-in will be by appointment between Thursday, September 24th and Friday, September 25th. Housing assignments, housing is prioritizing single occupancy for fall term to ensure the health and safety of the communities. And if double rooms are needed, we will ensure that there is at least 64 square feet of room space per resident. And actually the rooms at Portland State University are significantly larger than other universities, so that won't be a problem. And if you sign up for a double room for fall, you are guaranteed the double room rate. Dining hall will also be open, and Victor's is the name of the dining room, and there will be to-go meals only. No self-service options. And there's also additional cleaning and safety measures that will be implemented through the fall term and beyond. And then COVID-19 safety measures for housing and residence life includes things like Emma was talking about with face coverings that must be worn in residence halls and at the dining center, except when you're in your own room. Increased cleaning for high-touch surface areas and shared spaces, and then a no-guest policy that may be loosening as the pandemic improves. And other student life that is open will be, for instance, some parts of the Center for Student Health and Counseling, campus recreation, again, campus dining, as I mentioned, for residential students, childcare services, campus public safety, the library, computer labs, and then some designated study locations. So there will be some spaces available and services available. But again, most engagement will be virtual. And so I really encourage you to try out and reach out to pdx.edu/connect. That's pdx.edu/connect. And that's a great way through student activities and leadership programs to get connected virtually to a whole wide array of clubs and activities, student government, etc. So it's a really great place to go. Remember, one of the greatest things you can remember during this pandemic time is that all of us have to just work a little bit more at getting engaged, because we're isolating more, we're quarantining, we're staying apart. So we have to actually work a little bit harder. And all of us at Portland State University, staff, faculty, are going to be working really hard too. But we also ask you to also put a little bit more effort into that engagement, so so we can fight off that isolation that can be a problem, a serious problem. But the payoff is really, really great if you do reach out. Another way to reach out is to attend the digital party in the park. And the website's not ready yet, but the website will be partyinthepark.online. That's partyinthepark.online. And that'll be a great way to get engaged and get involved on campus, even though most things will be virtual. All right, so that's what I have for student life. And Kanani, are there questions that came up that people might want to ask?
You know what, just for time's sake, I think we're gonna move on, and we'll hopefully have time for those questions at the end.
Sounds good, thank you.
Thanks. All right, Shoshana, perfect.
My turn. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some academic resources that are available to you this fall. Oh gosh, I'm reading too many things. Okay, so in the Learning Center, we will be providing, all of our resources will be fully remote, and we will be offering academic coaching just like we did all of last academic year. So if you need academic support adjusting to the remote environment or hoping to increase your motivation, study skills, feel free to reach out to the Learning Center. We're gonna be doubling our academic coaches to 6 this academic year, and they're ready to help you. And just to give you a sense of how many academic coaching appointments we had last year, we did over 800 academic coaching appointments last year, and we saw a huge increase last spring from even winter. So students were really excited about meeting and engaging with academic coaches, even over Zoom. And so we are ready to help. We also have coaching specifically for STEM majors. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you happen to fall into a STEM major, we will have specific coaches for STEM majors. We also will have coaches that are available for our graduate students. It's free. You'll be able to schedule an appointment through our website or through calling the front desk or filling out an academic coaching interest form. We also are going to be providing online and remote learning support. So this is going to look a couple of different ways depending on how much support you feel like you might want or need. So we are going to have an enhanced website that's going to have tons of resources for you. So our new website should launch next week. and it's going to have an online readiness self-assessment for you to take. And that should point you in the direction of several modules that you can go through and find resources that will help you really prepare for fall term, finding that we're in this online and remote environment. We also plan on launching on September 1st a free D2L course that is for online and remote learning. And this will be self-paced, so no credits are attached to it. And this will be for any student who's interested in really going deeper into what does it take to be fully immersed in that online and remote learning environment, and really spending time with those learning tools. So it will be a lot of the resources that we have available on our website, but digging a little bit deeper into that information. And all of this, you can choose how much you really want to work on these learning tools, and then couple that even with an academic coach. So again, you get to decide how much information you need and want, and whether you do that this September before you start courses in the fall, or if you find that courses start and you realize that you need a little bit of additional help. We're here from now all the way through your academic journey at PSU. Additionally, we offer tutoring in the math, stats, world languages, and sciences. Again, that's also going to be via Zoom. And you can find out more information on our website. We use the Penji app for scheduling. For spring and summer, we did this by appointment. We will be offering drop-in and appointments on Zoom starting in fall. It's also free, everything's free. And we do hope to have group study hours for our biology sequences and our chemistry sequences, so that we can really get some students together to do some of that community building while we're studying. And that is our website. So again, in about a week, the new website launches, and it will have tons and tons of enhanced resources. Some additional academic resources that you'll be interested in are the university library. So things that are already available in terms of online and remote help is that we have 24/7 chat reference resource help, research consultations by appointment, the interlibrary loan and article scanning. We can do limited scanning and emailing of print reserves. We have the books in PSU circulation and open summit libraries mailed to your home, and ebooks, full text articles and journals, research databases. So this is pretty much everything that we have been already doing since spring. What we plan to have available on campus is that first floor library building access. You need your PSU ID. Limited circulation desk hours. So that would be for books you put on hold and equipment. We'll have the limited computer lab available for printing with that reduced seating. University archives and special collections will be available by appointment, and equipment checkout including Wi-Fi hotspots, headsets, and laptops. Additional academic resources that are still available for you will be the Disability Resource Center. Within university housing, we have U Success. So if you're living on campus and need additional academic support, I highly recommend that you check them out for their academic coaching. But again, you know, we are really here to help you be successful this fall term. With that, I'm going to hand it back over to Kanani.
All right, thanks, Shoshana. So yeah, we just gave you a lot of information, and I can see that there are still some more questions in here. So if I can have all of my presenters bring their cameras back up and their sound, we will go ahead and just go down this list and start answering some of the questions. I know we also have some questions coming in from our Facebook Live that we're doing right now. So I'll start with that question. So maybe this one's for Mike, maybe. Can parents help students move in?
Yeah, actually, each resident will have 2 people that they can have help them move in.
Perfect. Okay, thanks. All right, so folks, I'm just going to start asking the questions and feel free to jump in if you know the answer. And if you don't, we'll get back to the student. All right, so an anonymous question came in. Are we able to still study on campus if we're wearing a mask and social distancing? I think this was addressed already, but if someone wants to just answer it one more time.
I'll start, and anyone else can chime in, of course. If you are coming to campus, you will, as a student, have access to study spaces on campus. We're looking to right-size the amount of space based on the activity and the classes on campus, and see if we can sort of centralize access to some buildings and make sure, as I described, that the furniture is arranged in a way that is really conducive for physical distancing. If you come on campus for a class, to visit the library, to visit student health center, or the rec center, or to study, you must be wearing a mask.
All right, perfect. So speaking of housing, another one came in from a parent on our Facebook group. Is anyone else worried that their child is planning on living in the dorms and going to be lonely all by themselves? Are they going to be able to meet other students?
Yeah, I mean, it will be. This is part of what I think I was talking about in terms of it maybe making a greater effort towards engagement. It will be, it will be different because students will not be able to have guests, and food will be to go. And so, so they certainly will meet students, but mostly you meet students and staff virtually and remotely. So it's just going to be a different environment, and something that students will have to kind of seek out help in terms of working with the staff virtually and engaging that way. And that also includes meals and that kind of thing. That's why I thought that the on-campus engagement activities are so important, as well as the connect that I described earlier, and Kanani, you put in the chat in terms of the link.
Yep, exactly. And I know that, like, for example, I'm working with the Pacific Islanders Club right now, and they are planning on doing meetings remotely and connecting
Right.
virtually and events. So
Exactly.
students should definitely be checking that website, because I think a lot of these student organizations are wanting to connect with the community and going to be offering a lot of virtual things. So they're going to get creative. It's going to be exciting.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Are there any other fees that we don't need to pay if we're studying remotely outside of the US besides health insurance? Does anybody know the answer to that question? Any other fees that they need to pay if they're studying remotely outside of the US?
I believe that's still under discussion with the student financial services. I believe that several of the fees are still being determined, but as of right now, the fees that are posted on the fee schedule for the fall term has been posted. So I would plan on that, but do expect some additional communication.
Great, thanks so much, Luke. All right, and this question came up, again, just to address it. It's about IDs. So one more time, if we could just go over IDs. And what about students who are out of state? Do they need to get their IDs, or when do they need to get it? And along with that, how do you get into a building with your ID? How do students know how to do that?
I can take that one. Hey, if you're living out of state and taking classes remotely, you don't need an ID card to get into the building. So you're good to go until you're back here in Portland. When you're here in Portland, you're going to come to the bottom lobby floor of FMH, and you can access services between let's see, it was 12 and 2, forgive me for stumbling there, on Mondays and Wednesdays. And yeah, you just take that card and swipe it next to the reader, and the door clicks open, and you can get in lickety split.
Perfect. And all the buildings have a reader. Mm-hmm. And do you know if the buildings, they have multiple readers at the various entrances, or is it usually just the one entrance?
No, most of the as far as I know, all of the entrances to the buildings have readers. And I've used the parking garages, used the bridges over, and it works just great.
Perfect. Is there a deadline to get your PSU ID, or can you do it anytime?
You can do it anytime. Certainly you would want to do it before your first day of classes.
Okay. And just to clarify, can you do it without going to campus? Can you get your ID without going to campus?
No, unfortunately, that's the one thing that you must come to campus for.
Perfect. And elevators as well. People will need their ID to access some of the elevators too, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Not all of them, but some of them.
Some of them.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Next question, will intramural sports be held?
There will be no intramural sports, although campus recreation plans to open.
Campus Rec plans to open. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Will there be clubs available to join, or is it going to be a non-existent the first term? So I think Mike talked about this, and if you want to say it again.
Yeah, just I really encourage you to check that Connect site out. pdx.edu/connect was in the chat. That's one way to join clubs and activities. And then the Party in the Park online is a way to sample all of the activities and the groups, et cetera, all over campus. So that is a way to join up all kinds of activities and groups.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so this question, have instructors been provided guidelines to adjusting course assignments that would normally require social interaction outside of class and or for modifying assignments to accommodate high-risk students? And unless anybody has a specific answer to that, I would just say for instructors, making sure that you're checking in with your dean or your department chair for any clarification on the courses that you're going to be teaching.
And when it comes to accommodations that are provided to students, the DRC is always ready to assist you. For students who are not identified with a disability, having a conversation with your instructor is going to be the best way to go.
Great. All right, another question coming in from Facebook. When will students living on campus receive their mailing address to receive packages?
I believe room assignments are going out August 20th. And
Okay.
so I believe that is when they will get that information.
Okay. And any chance, will the Montgomery desk be open for packages being accepted? Oh, we can't hear you, Mike. Try
Yeah.
one more time. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, my audio just cut out. So can you say it again? So sorry.
Sure, yeah. So it was a follow-up is, will the Montgomery desk be open for packages to be accepted?
Yes, it is open right now. And I don't exactly know what the hours will be in the fall, but it's open. Right now it's open Monday through Friday, and it will be open in the fall for package delivery.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So let's see, will all of the PSU meal plan food places be open?
Victor's Dining Room is the only place that will be open, but that is the primary location for meal plans. Right now, the other food locations will not be open. We hope that that will change, obviously, for winter term, but right now it'll be Victor's Dining Room, which will manage, which is where all the food service is, or I'm sorry, all the meal plans are used anyway. So that's on Dean Residence Hall.
Okay, great. And one comment came in from one of our folks on the back end who's answering questions just about the faculty and the clarification around instruction. And they wanted us to note that a large fraction of the faculty have gone through remote teaching courses this summer to try and improve remote teaching and engagement. So the experience that you had during spring term should hopefully be a little bit different in fall term. So thank you for clarifying that. All right, let's see. The questions are moving here, so answered. If the class says remote, does that mean the class will be completely online or not at a scheduled time?
So that is likely where the room designation is right now. So it's very likely that's going to be a remote course. And if the time is also listed as remote, I would assume remote asynchronous or remote with no scheduled meeting times. But if you pull up the course details and in that top portion, it should have more specification about the course delivery method. That remote is taking the place of where the room and times would normally go.
Great. By when do we need to pay our class fees?
So the billing statements are going to be going out, let's see, September 8th, or excuse me, billing will be available on your student account on September 8th, and the billing statements will be going out shortly thereafter. The first payments are due October 6th. You would either want to pay in full or enroll in the PSU payment plan to break it into thirds for October 6th, November 6th, and December 6th.
Okay. And there was a question about D2L. I think Luke, you had marked a question on there earlier.
Someone else was able to address it. I accidentally
Okay.
said I was going to answer it live, and I was no longer live.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Does anybody know about the early move-in process for international students?
I would direct students who are interested in that to housing at pdx.edu. I don't know the exact nature of the early move-in process, so I don't want to speak for them, but I do know that they are making arrangements with international student services. So email housing@pdx.edu, and they will be able to connect you with that kind of information.
Perfect. Does anybody know how senior auditors can sign up for classes?
So the Senior Adult Learning Center, at least last I checked, we're not accepting new applicants. But let me see if I can find out some more information on that. I'm not current PSU auditors can email their instructors and CC the Senior Adult Learning Center, salc@pdx.edu, with a request to be added to the course. And then the Senior Adult Learning Center will work with the registrar's office to register current auditors, but I am not certain if they are accepting new auditors for the fall term.
Okay, thanks, Luke. That question was asked by Clement. And so Clement, if we find out a different answer, we have your information. So we'll go ahead and follow up with you later this week. Another question that's coming in about our PSU health insurance. Do we still need to do the waiver? Do we still need to waiver the PSU insurance if all our classes are remote? Anybody know the answer to that?
I think Mark from Center for Student Health and Counseling is in the chat. That might be a way to get it answered there. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Yeah, Mark, if you want to take a look at that question. All right, let's see. We have time for maybe just a couple more questions. Could you please recap when the payment of tuition is due?
Oh, sure. So the tuition for fall term, it will be posted on your student account, so you can view the fees starting on September 8th, and the first payment is due on October 6th. You'll either want to pay in full or enroll in the payment plan and break it into thirds. But October 6th would be the first payment date. That's going to be Tuesday of week 2 of the term.
Perfect, thank you. So Paige is asking, I know Campus Rec will be open. Will exercise classes still be held, like yoga or core training classes? Does anyone know?
I actually don't know, and I just texted the director of Campus Rec, and he hasn't gotten back to me. So if he does it before this is over, I'll give the answer, but I actually don't know the answer as of yet.
Perfect, okay. And will the student union be open?
Well,
Go ahead,
go ahead.
Mike.
That's all right, Emma, you got it.
So yeah, the student union is one of the buildings where there will be services offered and study space available. And so that will be one of the buildings that will be available, accessible, again, by card access to the PSU community this fall.
Great. If students are on campus and they don't have a mask or they lose their mask, is there going to be anywhere for them to get a mask while they're here on campus?
Absolutely. So if a student or someone coming to campus needs a mask, all the service offices that are going to be open and offering services in person, SHAC, ID services, IT help desk, things like that. And once that full list is posted, that'll be available online. But all of those sort of externally facing or publicly accessible offices will have masks there at the front counter, and we'll make that list available online. So someone can pop in there and grab a mask.
Perfect.
And I got a quick answer from Campus Recreation. So in-person classes will not be in person at first. They'll be reassessing a lot, like a lot of our services through fall term. They'll be reassessing, but not at first.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Mike.
Yep.
Does anyone know, does PSU expect to have their fall sports programs, football, volleyball, soccer, etc.? Are any of those going to be happening?
I think I heard that Big Sky, the whole conference wasn't doing football for sure. I mean, I heard that on the news.
Okay.
So I don't know
Yeah.
what else.
And determination for other sports has not been made as far as I know.
Okay. All right, let's see. Will the tunnels and the overhead bridges between Smith and Kramer and Lincoln, for example, will those be open or locked?
So many of those have doors with card readers on them. So again, if you think about it, those are like an external door to the building. So again, another reason to have your card on you. And when you come to one of those doors that might be closed, find the card reader, swipe your card, and you can walk on through.
Perfect. And as a student employee, am I required to come to work?
Many of the student employee jobs are also happening remotely. There are some instances, say for example in facilities, where that work might happen in person, but generally you're going to be remote.
Great. All right, and one last question that we have time for. Will writing lab services be available in addition to other tutoring services?
The Writing Center was doing remote work for spring and summer, so I'm assuming that they are also going to be open for fall term. So yeah, the Writing Center should be open remotely as well, and you can check out their website.
Great. All right, folks. Well, our time is up. Everybody had a lot of great questions. We hope this provided you with some clarity around fall term. If you have more questions, if you had a question in there that didn't get answered, then we'll be following up with you later as long as your name is associated with that. A recording of this webinar is going to be put on the PDX website. So once that happens, students will get a notice about that. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope you all have a great day and stay safe. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.